Welcome back to On the Record. We're here at the McAfee Global Partner Summit, and I'm with Alex Thurber, who's the Senior Vice President of Worldwide Channels and somebody who I've interviewed quite a few times. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. But let's not talk about how I'm doing. I mean, this show has just been unbelievable with all the things that you're announcing here. It's like for the VARs, it should be like being in a candy store and being able to just pick and go, wow, wow, wow. So I don't even know where to start, but let's start with the Intel stuff since
Sure.
now it's open, it's on the table. What's going on with the combination? So I'm not interested in the business side of it, but more the product side.
Absolutely. So thanks very much for this opportunity. It's great. And I have to tell you that we are incredibly excited about how the Intel acquisition is moving forward, mostly because of their technology innovation and their focus on the channel. So I don't want to spend too much time on business, but Intel is just as committed to the channel as we are, and that's a very strong point that we have to continue to reiterate. But from the technology perspective, we all know that one of the things partners really look for are vendors who can innovate, both from innovation today and innovation to come. And certainly, if you look at Intel, they are the most innovative technology company out there. And we saw the first sets of results today with our release of the first two products based on the Intel Deep Safe technology. And that's the Deep Command and the Deep Defender products.
And so how were the results?
Well, everybody's very excited about them. We're rolling them out. Deep Command, which is our link, is linked into our EPO management console, and it allows the IT folks within a company to truly manage a PC, whether it's turned on or turned off, which is really very innovative. That's going on the market right now. It's on our Q4 price list. And then Deep Defender will be coming out later this year, beginning of next year. But that is a game changer when it comes to security, because it actually allows us to look inside the compute stack and see what's going on and block attacks before they get resident.
Which is really exciting when you think about it. What was the comment that was made by earlier in the day by your president? Was that the bad guys only have to penetrate at one point,
Right.
and you have to guard against every point.
Exactly.
It's a tough. I mean, it's just mind-boggling of how far this security has gone so far in the last 10 years.
Well, and I've been in security for 20 years now, which is a little bit scary to think about. And we've never seen the level of attack that we've seen today and the sophistication of the attacks. In many cases, the bad guys, the attackers, are as well funded as the good guys are. And so it really is a constant challenge to stay ahead of them, particularly in the way today's security software has been written, which is really involved in the application layer because it has to run on top of the operating system. What Deep Safe will allow us to do, and as I said, announced with the first product under Deep Defender, is getting underneath the operating system and really take a quantitative leap towards better protecting our mutual customers' endpoints.
And the interesting thing is, like, everybody always talks about, well, is the channel going to go away, and is all the technology going to go away, and is distributors going to go away, and but when you look at all the things that are going on, the way people say it's the cloud, it's managed services, it's all these mobile devices are going to take over, and therefore, who needs security because they don't need it? And yet, it's so much the opposite. So let's talk about some of the things. Let's start with mobile.
Sure.
Where are you guys at with mobile? Where's it going?
So mobile is amazing. It's really part of this overall push that we call the consumerization of IT, and I'm sure many of your viewers have seen about that. And it's this whole idea that in today's world, companies can no longer dictate what devices their employees are going to use. They're not going to be satisfied with coming in and being handed a standard Windows PC and a BlackBerry. Instead, they may want to use an iPad or an iPhone. They may want to use an Android device. And companies are now being required to support that. In addition, of course, an executive comes in and says, oh, I just bought an iPhone 4S, turn it on for me. Well, that's a huge challenge to the chief security officer of any particular organization. Because I have to tell you, I was looking for my iPhone, there is enough information on that that it could cause just as much of a security breach to McAfee and Intel as if I lost my laptop. And yet at the same time, very few people leave their laptops behind in taxis, but look at us here in Las Vegas. I guarantee you there are dozens of phones left behind in laptops every day, or certainly every night. So it really does require a big focus by the company, by our customer, to protect those devices. We see that. We are way out ahead of that market, and it is our #1 strategic imperative going forward.
Yeah, I would think so, because the biggest problem with it is, one, you don't know how to properly secure it.
Right.
And then, of course, the other one is that people don't know that they need to secure it. Everybody just assumes that, oh, well, it's only a device, you know.
No, that's right, and there is a lot of education that McAfee, along with our partners, needs to continue to drive into the customer. And I have to be very honest, particularly right now is true with Android. Because of the way the Android application store is designed, there is more of an opportunity to see malware creep into that software. Under iOS, Apple has been more controlled. Now, I can't predict the future. I don't know where that's going. But it is just as important to protect your mobile phone, because let's be realistic. It's a CPU, it's got memory, and it's running an operating system. Fundamentally, it's no different from a laptop in terms of potential risk and threats.
And it's interacting with the other all the other products.
Exactly.
I backed up my phone to my computer this afternoon.
Right.
And probably didn't do it right by your standards. No, I'll take that back. For sure I didn't do it right by your standards. And then I get upset when something happens to my computer.
Right.
So you also have now the cloud, and you guys are heavily involved in that, and you're heavily involved in managed services.
Mm-hmm.
All of this for you as worldwide channels, the opportunities to use are just phenomenal right now.
Right.
For the channel partners.
You know, it is amazing. We've tried to look and figure out what is our addressable market and how fast is it growing, and the numbers are staggering. And we look through some of the opportunities. And in fact, we turned this conference, we divided it up into 3 main sections. Yesterday morning was on opportunity, yesterday afternoon on acceleration, and today was all about empowerment. And the opportunities, just look at the managed service provider business. That is a $17 billion market today, growing at 17% a year. I don't know many businesses or many target opportunities that are that big, growing that fast.
And yet only about 20% of all the VARs or channel partners in North America, I don't even think it's 20% yet, have started to offer managed services.
No, that's right. And if you look at segmentation between what we call enterprise and commercial and SMB, the fastest growing market is SMB. And by the way, the combination of commercial and SMB is bigger than the enterprise market. But let's just look at SMB. Not only is it growing quickly, but it's a wonderful opportunity for our partners, because by definition, you're talking to less sophisticated companies who need more help. And yet they are under just the same amount of attack these days as the largest enterprise or government. So particularly then, that allows you to look at managed services, monthly security as a service, ways to provide that continuing support to the customer, and yet do it in a cost-effective way that they can afford. It's a really good target market right now.
And while you have 20% who have already come into, or call it 20%, into managed services, you're at maybe half of that for the cloud.
Exactly, and you know, I think a lot of this, Robert, is education into the customers. It's education to our partners. It's education to the customers on just what are those opportunities, and that they're not as big and bad and scary as you think. Reselling cloud services with us is pretty simple. In fact, when we acquired MX Logic 2 years ago, they had the gold standard of security as a service partner programs, and we've been very careful to not break that. So as we move that into the broader McAfee Security Alliance program, we're keeping all of the key elements of that.
Which is fabulous. And there's just, but I guess the point I'm trying to get at some point is, I run a whole bunch of LinkedIn groups.
Sure.
And if there isn't a day that goes by that somebody doesn't put on there something about, you know, is managed services going to be the end of the channel? Is the cloud going to be the end of the channel? It's going to be the end of the channel, I think, for those who don't adapt to the change. But for those who do, I think it's their heyday. I mean, there's so many people who've been in this industry and on the margin for so many years. This is really a time, and I mean, the whole thing that probably the most important thing going in there is security.
Well, and I can't speak for our competitors, of course, but McAfee and Intel are 100% committed to continuing to drive our business to the channel. And that includes monthly security as a service, as well as managed service providers. I'm responsible for that. It's a channel focused. We're going to continue to use two-tier distribution for that. We may provide the service and the secret sauce, but the way we get to the customers is through our channel, regardless.
And you know what? Having you in charge there, this is probably going to go straight to your head. I shouldn't say it, but I know it'll get done that way because you always do what you say, and you've definitely been a heavy supporter of the channel.
Thank you. I used to be a partner, right? I love the channel. It's the way to scale, and it's the only way we're going to hit our growth targets.
So what's this MASP?
So MASP stands for the McAfee Authorized Support Provider Program. And what that is that if you look at our business over the last few years at McAfee, we've doubled our revenue. And therefore, we've doubled the number of customers at least that we have. So one of our questions is, how do we scale our support to meet those requirements? We could hire hundreds and thousands of people and spin up new call centers, but we're not going to do that. Instead, we're running that scale through the channel. We've had this MASP program in place for the last couple of years as a very limited pilot. And I have to tell you that the 8 partners who were involved in this pilot grew their business on average by 43%, because it allows them to provide that first and second tier level of service to their customers, to their end users, and then escalate tier 3 to us. It is a great program. 43% increase in revenue and an increase in customer satisfaction.
Unbelievable. And what about the ACE program?
ACE is another side of our technical, our ability and our focus on empowerment. It stands for the Accredited Channel Engineer. And the idea is that we're taking pre-sales resources of our partners and bringing them along and giving them the same training that we give our own SEs. So at the end of the day, our sales force sees them as an extension of our pre-sales technical team, which will drive much tighter linkage. Now, it's a tough program because not only does it include training, but also the requirement to do a real proof of concept at a live customer with a McAfee SE engaged. So we're rolling it out. Now we've moved it to general availability. It's being very well received, and our customers and field team love it.
Well, I would think so, because now what you're doing is you're giving them more opportunities.
Exactly.
And also more resources for those who don't want to or don't have the skill set. So, yeah, it's a win for everybody,
Right.
Isn't it?
Right. And it just is another proof point of how we're scaling through the channel. That is our route to market.
Yeah, and you know what? It's working for you. And it's working for the channel. Alex, as always, it's been a pleasure. But we're going to have to do this a lot more often, because I have a feeling that over the next few months, everything's going to be changing more and more and more as you keep growing closer with Intel and just with the whole thing, everything that McAfee's doing. It's really made itself into a fabulous company, hasn't it?
Well, thank you. And I'm blessed with a wonderful team, and they are incredibly innovative. And our biggest problem is they come up with too many ideas. So we have a very simple bar. If it doesn't drive mutual profitability, we don't do it. You'll continue to see a lot of channel innovation going forward, but again, every one of those elements will be focused on driving more profitability to our partners. Thanks very much for the time.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.